Hi, this is Sowmyan again. Welcome to my Learn Japanese lesson number 45. This is the second lesson on particles. The focus on particles started in lesson number 44. In this lesson, we will cover the occurrence of both particles wa and ga in the same sentence. In lesson number 44, we discussed the application of particle wa and particle ga, where only one of them occurred in a sentence. There are many sentences where both occur together. Now the basic ideas are the same as discussed earlier. There are some extensions as in compound sentences. To drive home the basic idea, we will discuss many sentence structures and examples associated with these sentence structures. In the earlier lesson, we saw two structures, eva bini arimas and bini ega arimas. Both structures meant A is in B, where B is a place. The first sentence emphasized location of A to be B. The second emphasized A as a person or thing that was at location B. Both had one particle only. Consider a new structure. B niva ega arimas or imas, where B is a person or entity or thing and not a place. In the earlier one, it was a place. Here, it is a person, entity or thing. This structure has both the particles va and ga. In this context, the reference is to existence or possession of A by B. The meaning of arimas and imas in such a structure is has or have. I have put the particle ni within parentheses. It may or may not be used. Ni is not for location only. Location related meanings are in, on, at, to, etc. Ni also stands for with when used with va. Again, look at this as far as B is concerned, here is a statement. The statement in this case is ega arimas or has A. When B was a place, the role of the words arimas and imas was location indication. When B is not a place, the role is possession indication. When A is a thing, B possesses A. When A is a person, B has a relationship with A. A could be a friend, a sibling, or any other kind of relative. These words, arimas and imas, work in two different contexts, location indication and possession indication. If A is a thing, B possesses that thing. If A is a person, it connotes relationship between B and A, such as friends, siblings, other relations, etc. Ni is mentioned in parentheses because it may or may not appear. Let us look at some examples. The structure for every one of these following examples is B niva ega arimas arimas. Watashi wa vapuro ga arimas. I have a word processor. Vapuro is word processor. Watashi wa Rolls Royce ga arimasen. I don't have a Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is the transliteration of Rolls Royce. Watashi ni wa tomodachi ga taksan arimasu. I have many friends. Tomodachi means friend and taksan means many. Watashi ni wa ototo ga imasu. I have a younger brother. Ototo means younger brother. Kono hotere wa tennis koto ga arimasu ka? Does this hotel have a tennis court? All these examples had both the particles va and ga. The translation has the word has or have. Va followed the first position and ga followed the second position. Va followed the noun representing the possessor, ga followed the noun representing the possessed. Notice that even though the subject was animate, as in sentences 3 and 4, the verb arimas as well as imas were used. In this context referring to possession, this is allowed. If B is a place instead of a person, as in the last sentence, then also this structure can be used in the context of possession. The pattern of two particles discussed so far is also used with the expressions of desire, etc. Let us look at these. We have seen in an earlier lesson two ways of expressing desire. Noun ga hoshi for a noun that was desired, and verb in masu base followed by tai for an action that was desired. The basic pattern for desiring the noun is eva, ex ga, hoshi. A is the person with the wish, X is the thing they wish for. We used both va and ga here. As a general concept, recollect the idea of va in the sentence separating the parts before and after va. The part before is the topic, the part after is a statement about the topic. As far as A is concerned, here is a statement, is what it means in general. In the current situation, the statement is X ka hoshi. So it can be seen as far as A is concerned, wishes X. Let us revisit the earlier lesson on desire for reinforcing further clarity. You can only express your desire. You can pose a question about another person's desire. You can express an expectation about a third party's wish. So these sentences have constraints. Watashi wa biru ga hoshi desu. I want beer. Ga is following the second position. Biru ga hoshi is a statement by itself. The subject of that statement is biru. Beer is the one the person desires. Jane-san, nani ga hoshi desu ka? Mrs. Jane, do you want anything? Ga with a question word. Nani has been used here. This is something we have seen earlier. Only Jane can talk of her desire. A second party can question what her desire is. As we have seen earlier in lesson 44, va indicates familiarity with the subject. Hence, only ga can go with a question word such as nani. The response to the question we saw in the last slide could have been similar to biru ga hoshi desu for indicating a preference. Alternately, as here, the respondent could say nani mo hoshikunai desu to negate having any desire. Nani mo hoshikunai desu means I don't want anything. Mo is used here instead of va or ga. We will find more on this in the next lesson, which will cover mo. Mo is a third particle related to marking the subject. Nani mo means not anything. Kimura-san wa biru ga hoshi desho. I expect Mr. Kimura will want beer. Ga follows the second position. Desho indicates expectation. Expectation is the expression used here because it is another person's feeling that is not known. I will continue on the expression of desire, but move to desire for action. The verb-related patterns can be eva exo shitai or eva exga shitai desu. X is the object of the verb here, so O can appear following the object. Shitai is the adjectival form, so ga can also be used. Look at this example. Watashi wa kuruma ga kaitai desu or watashi wa kuruma o kaitai desu. I want to buy a car is a meaning. Either O or ga can be used in this kind of structure. We saw that the pattern of ga replacing O occurs with Thai form verbs. This can happen with other verbs also. O is the object indicator associated with verbs. We have seen earlier that non-transitive verbs do not have objects. Only transitive verbs have objects. Since O is an object marker, there is no O before non-transitive verbs. Ga is used in these situations in place of O. Another class of verbs that use ga instead of O are called potential verbs. These indicate capability. Examples of potential verbs are wakarimasu, irimasu, and dekimasu. These mean understands, needs, and can in the sense capable. John-san wa Supaingo ga wakarimasu. This means Mr. John understands Spanish. Watashi ni wa ano hito ga wakarimasen. I don't understand that person. Watashi wa okane ga irimasu. I need money. All these examples use ga instead of o. Now let us consider the structures used with the adjectives and nouns. Consider the structures eva, biga, adjective, des, and eva, biga, noun, des. The terms within square brackets indicate the nature of the words to be used when we discuss the structure. The va, ga pattern is the same, but it is just that other parts of the sentence are different and we should understand the pattern. Watashi wa kyoku ga warui desu. I have a bad memory. Warui is an adjective meaning bad. Kyoku is memory. Jane-san wa mei ga oki desu. Mrs. Jane has large eyes. Oki is an adjective meaning big. Mei means eyes. Kanujo wa oto-san ga isha desu. Her father is a doctor. Father is a noun. Oto-san is father. Isha is doctor. The basic rule is very much the same. The structure is basically A wa B desu, where B desu is a statement about the topic A. We can look at the ga within the statement part B ga adjective desu as a sentence that brings up emphasis to B. While A is popularly called topic marker rather than a subject marker, ga is not called this way. It is merely referred to as subject marker. The concept that it brings focus to what precedes it is the characteristic that continues to apply. In the example discussed in the previous slide, B belongs to A, so there is an alternate structure that is possible. Instead of A wa B ga adjective desu, you can say A no B wa adjective desu. With A no B becoming the new subject, the particle used is wa. Watashi no kyoku wa warui desu. Watashi no kyoku becomes the subject. The structure is then A wa B desu, where A is watashi no kyoku. My memory is bad instead of I have a bad memory. Jane-san no mei wa oki desu. Kanojo no oto-san wa isha desu. These are the ways by which this sentence can be modified. Though these equivalents are grammatically correct, the wa ga pattern is the more natural for the Japanese, and it is preferred. Let us look at another application now. In compound sentences, we will have two classes. These are main class and subordinate class. Both classes would be near full sentences. In such situations, the main class would use wa and the subordinate class would use ga. There are two specific points pertaining to this. When there is a sense of contrast between the two sentences, the second sentence will also have wa. It is necessary that this sense of contrast exists for this repetition of wa. Before describing the example, I would like to remind you that ga also has another meaning but. This is not the same as the ga for which is a subject marker, but is one of the ways of forming a compound sentence. In these structures, the main class would also come ahead of the subordinate class. Consider the following sentences to appreciate the sense of contrast we discussed in the previous slide. Ocha wa aru ga kohi wa arimasen. We have tea but do not have coffee. This is a compound sentence. Ga is the sentence joiner, ocha is tea, and kohi is coffee. They are both beverages considered of a type. One is available and another is unavailable. There is a sense of contrast here. So, both classes used wa. Look at some more examples. Orange wa katta ga, ringo wa kaimasen deshita. There is contrast here too. I bought orange but I did not buy apple. Note the wa is replaced the particle o here. Roma ni wa itta ga London ni wa ikimasen deshita. I went to Rome but did not go to London. These are the examples that will give you an idea of what contrast is. Wa is often used in negative sentences. In negative sentences, there is a sense of implicit contrast with positive sentences. For example, Kino wa ikimasen deshita. I did not go yesterday. The contrast is between yesterday and other days. Yakitori wa suki deva arimasen. I did not like yakitori. The contrast is between yakitori and other items I ate. Akai no wa arimasen ka? Don't you have anything red in color? Akai is red. the speaker is looking for some goods and is looking for a red colored article. The contrast is between different colors. In these situations also, va is the preferred particle. When both va and ga occur, normally va comes first and ga comes second. In a compound sentence, va comes in the main class and ga comes in the subordinate class. Due to the shift of word order in the Japanese sentences, the subordinate class may come ahead of the main class, in which case ga may be ahead of va. Compound sentences using because will have the subordinate class ahead of the main class. Thus, they have ga. Tenki ga ii kara asobi ni ikimashou. Because the weather is nice, let us go to play. Let us go to play is the main class. Because the weather is good is the subordinate class. Ga is used in the subordinate class. Kara is the word meaning because. In this sentence, va did not even figure in the main class. Kara means because, so the first part of the sentence is the subordinate class and that takes ga. Let us look at two more sentences to understand the finer shades of meaning. Kono computer ga takai kara watashi wa kaimasen. This computer is expensive, so I am not going to buy it. The first part ended with kara, so it is a subordinate class. We find ga in the subordinate class. The main class has va. Kono computer wa takai kara watashi wa kaimasen. These computers are like some other computers I can think of are expensive, so I shall not buy one. This example used va in both classes. This pattern is indicative of contrasting situation. The translation and interpretation have to take cognizance of this implicit contrast. Now let us wrap up. We saw many examples of va and ga occurring together. The applications to indicate possession, adjectives, relationships, desires, potential were discussed. The basic ideas are still similar. Va first, ga later. Va as topic marker, ga as specific identifier. Va focusing on what follows, ga focusing on what precedes. Compound sentences have two classes. Ga is identified with the subordinate class. However, when there is an implicit or explicit contrast, va is used. That brings us to the end of lesson number 45. I covered the occurrence of both particles va and ga in the same sentence. I will continue the discussion on subject marker mo in lesson number 46. The next 3 to 4 lessons may continue to focus on particles. These lessons on particles were undertaken in response to requests from a couple of viewers to elaborate on particles. I welcome your feedback on how you found this. I also invite you to suggest what used to be covered or clarified. That would form the basis of my adding more content to this channel. Arigatou gozaimashita. Gambatte kudasai. Deva. Mata.